Wow. Baba Wawa Wawa.
Wow. It's Baba Wawa at a Wawa.
I'm going to vomit. I just ate some really yummy cheese, and I do not want to puke it up because of this.
Tell us everything first.
I'm trying to.
Under federal
All right?
No.
She passes out. So I'd just be sitting at the bus stop with like $600 cash in my
The
boot.
fact that you're still
Oh
alive
my
is
God.
absolutely insane. But it ended up shooting himself in the foot. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Right. Okay. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Yeah, we're doing it. I'm back in my office.
She's back in her office. She's got 16 people's hairs on her head.
The king has returned.
It's like how many cows' beef goes into a cheeseburger, but it's Amanda's head.
Yeah. How many cows' beef does go into a cheeseburger? They just kind of grind it
800
all together.
different cows. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't know why I didn't.
Why?
Because
Well,
they
because
just put
they-
in a big vat, ground it up, pump out little
Yeah.
balls, make burgers out of them.
Yeah.
Eating meat is horrific, and I wish that I
didn't
could
want it all
quit.
the time. Yeah. I wish I knew
Anyway.
how to quit you.
I know. Okay, well, that's neither here nor there. I'm Kenyon.
I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda.
And we have a very special gals pick this week brought to you
Nope,
by
Not a gal's pick.
Nope.
Fan Pick,
There she goes.
brought to you by Kayla. I was literally going to say that, and then
Kayla.
yeah.
Got
Brought
me
to you
on
by
my knees, Kayla.
All right, Kayla has selected the topic wearing a wire.
Wire wearers.
Wire wearers. World wire wearers.
There's something so delicious about like recordings being caught by someone wearing a wire and in it solving the case. I love it so much.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
love deception.
I do.
I love deception, you guys. Delicious deception should be an episode topic, a gal's pick.
or a bottle of wine, which brings us to Amanda. What is our wine crime pairing for this fan pick episode wearing a wire?
Wouldn't it be so amazing if I actually had found a wine called Delicious Deception? I don't know if there is one. Someone
Probably.
Google it. But my recommendation this week, and I have hella heartburn, so I am not drinking, is Spy Valley Sauvignon Blanc.
Ooh, yes.
And this is a very classic, this like speaks to Lucy on every level. It's a very classic New Zealand Sauv Blanc. It has those distinctive flavors of passion fruit and white nectarine with like layers of minerality, a little bit of grassiness, but not too much.
Little
You're getting
tart,
that
the
a little bit
layers of
tart, a little bit of acid to just get your mouth like watering. So good. It's Sauv Blanc is such a good food white wine. Because
And also a good evening dog walk with your family white wine. Am I
sitting
right?
on the front porch white wine at golden
Good
hour.
drinking in public out on the sidewalk.
At
while
your
you're
Yeah.
out.
Kentucky Derby $3 glass.
God
Am I right?
bless. Yes. This Sauv Blanc that I am talking about today is specifically the 2022 vintage, and the vintner notes that, quote, the weather took a turn in February of 2022 with above average rainfall and then cooler temperatures for the month. And then that was followed by perfect ripening conditions through the remainder of the month and into March, which makes this sound like a very special bottle because they had like very specific weather to get it to reach the flavors that it has now. And then they do a really cool thing with the aging. They age like 80% of it, I think, in stainless steel, which is pretty common with Sauv Blanc. You just want to like maintain
The natural
that
flavor.
natural flavor. But then they blended in an additional like 10 or 20% that was aged on some natural oak. So it's like a little tiny bit
Of dimension.
of dimension. Yeah.
Dementia.
I thought that was super cool. This bottle retails for about $22. She clocks in at 12.5% ABV, and this is a cracker So you don't even need a special tool to open it.
No.
No. Is anyone
all
else
in the
drinking anything
wrist.
fun? Because they don't have acid trying to come out of their
am
mouth?
Drinking a mini can of Canada Dry.
Cute.
Cute.
We're so old.
But later, I will definitely be having said glass of Sauvignon Blanc on our family evening walk, which is a new thing that we're doing. And I'm like, well, not new, but we're
I
trying to be
love
more
that.
consistent about it. And I like
That's
it.
really
Nice.
sweet. A dusk walk in the summer is
Yeah.
like the best thing ever.
I'm drinking water because I'm dehydrated, but I
Yep.
got a bottle of wine in the fridge.
Fuck
For
yeah.
once, I remembered to put it in the fridge before I actually wanted it.
Oh my God, that is such a win. I
Mm-hmm.
often forget to put my wine in the fridge. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers!
Love it.
All right. Well, Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for wearing a wire?
Wire wearers.
Why, where is?
Wire wearers. Baba wawa.
Baba Wawa at a Wawa wearing a wire.
Oh, Baba wawa wawa at the wawa.
Wow. It's Baba Wawa at a
Wow.
Wawa wearing a wire.
Wow.
So fucking dumb.
Wow. Was that
Wow.
Owen Wilson?
Yeah.
With
Oh,
Baba Wawa
wow. Is Owen Wilson wow at a while?
Oh, what?
Owen Wawa wow at a while?
Owen Wawa? Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And everyone's turned this off. Welcome to Lucy's segment.
Well, I'm going to
Lucy's segment.
shake my bones because I don't have any
Oh.
psych.
Oh.
But I do have a lot of really, I think, funny information on that. And I know
Okay.
not all wire wearers end up
Wow, wow,
funny, but here we go. So we're talking
Some
about
end up dead.
wile werewolves today. But what is the wile aspect of the wile werewolves?
Ah.
What were we talking about?
I'm having trouble following, but I love it.
What we're really talking about is the wire aspect of the wire wearer.
Got it. Got
So
it.
Keep up.
It's a covert listening device. So
Can
this
you
is
read?
small Barely.
I'm barely hanging on.
Oh my God. I
Clinging
love
to-
this.
Clinging to it.
Swinging.
Marriage.
Okay. So we're talking about covert listening devices. So this is a small hidden microphone, usually paired with a small radio transmitter used to secretly listen to and record people.
Pepo.
Sometimes they're called bugs, and they're also used for wiretapping, hence wearing a wire. Also, it also denotes the literal wire going from the microphone to the transmitter device, which is very outdated. We'll get
Yeah.
to it. So this
So
technology,
you can't just like have all your conversations in a sauna to like evade being wiretapped.
not anymore. There's quite literally no way to ensure that no one's listening to you.
Wow.
So this technology existed prior to the mid 20th century, but it wasn't very, very prevalent because they weren't able to be both self-contained and also small enough to be super effective.
Uh-huh.
One of the very first listening devices was the dictograph, which was patented in 1906 by Kelly M. Turner. It consisted of a microphone in one location and a remote listening post with a speaker that could also be recorded using a phonograph. So there's a microphone over here that's connected to or it transmits to a speaker like in a different room. The speaker speaks it out
Emits the
loud and
sound,
then
yeah.
that could then be recorded onto a record.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds like a lot of
all the
work,
different
but yep.
pieces of what existed at the time.
We
Okay.
did what we could.
Yeah.
So while this was also marketed as a device that allowed broadcasting of sounds or dictating text from one
well,
room
dick.
to a typist in another, it was used in several criminal investigations as well.
Quimino.
By 1956, the CIA was super invested in creating this technology, which it called surveillance transmitters. An all solid state device had low enough power low enough power needs that it could be operated by small batteries. Basically, the
Like a watch
evolution
battery, basically.
the evolution of the battery revolutionized the business of covert listening.
Well, sure, because if the power source has to be big, then the device can't be small.
Correct.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So as I said, the wire aspect of covert listening is just one tactic, and it wasn't even really that common in the 70s and 80s when it peaked as a means of covert surveillance.
Carrie Russell would beg to differ in the Americans, but fine.
Well,
In Felicity.
In Felicity.
later in my notes, I note that 2/3 of all the examples I found have something to do with the Soviets. Like the Soviets were big into this shit.
Yeah, they recorded all of their own people and us.
Speaking of Felicity, I find it very ironic and, well, I guess this is not actually irony. It's just a full circle moment that Scott Speedman, who played Ben in Felicity, she followed Ben to New York, right? But then kind of didn't work out. But now Scott Speedman is on Grey's Anatomy, and he ended up following Meredith Grey to Boston so that they could be together. So now the joke's on him. Anyway, continue.
Okay. I never found him very attractive. Next.
My mind is blown that Grey's Anatomy is still on TV.
Yeah.
It's been on
What
for
the fuck?
17 years, and it's so bad, and I can't stop watching it.
Wait,
thought
you
she
still
died at one point.
consistently watch?
She died, and then she came back. Oh, yeah, I watched last night.
Oh,
She died and she came
She
back?
she kind of died because she had COVID and she was in a coma and she was in heaven and people were visiting her in heaven, her dead husband or whatever, but she was just in a coma, and then they were like, it's not your time, and then she left the show a season later.
That is
Contract
so
negotiations.
horrible.
Y'all, it's incredible.
No thanks. Okay.
Okay. So the most logical time to use this kind of surveillance would be an undercover agent infiltrating a criminal organization. And that's a situation when it wouldn't be that reliable to plant a bug in an inanimate object, to put a microphone in a lampshade or something like that.
Well,
It has to be
eventually
kind
you
of-
have to go you'd have, now you don't, but in the past you'd have to go retrieve the tapes.
Well,
You
no,
know?
it has a
Not unless there's a
transmitter
wire
necessarily.
transmitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. What
But if you're uncovering a crime ring, they're probably not meeting in the same place every time. So planting it in an inanimate object, if they're having a covert
They also,
meeting in a
shake it
parking
up.
garage. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in The Departed. It's we were supposed to meet at the bar, but hey, let's go take a drive.
Right, exactly.
Just to make them nervous. So the mole would wear a small microphone that's connected via wire to a bulky transmitter that sends the signal to a remote location where law enforcement can record and review the conversations. And this so-called remote location, at least for a period of time, had to be really close by, in an unmarked van down
Yeah.
the block.
Yeah.
A lot of workers. Workers just
Yeah.
have to be on that street doing various work,
Lots of
so
people
much work.
delivering flowers.
work to be done. Charlize Theron needing to repair a television, and that makes perfect sense because that's what her job would be.
What's that from?
Television repair.
Italian
the Italian job.
Oh, I haven't seen that in so long.
It was one of Kenyon's obsessions for a minute.
So still is. Love. So good.
That and Triple X.
Oh my God, you loved Triple X. Which I can't even be mad about because Vin Diesel is a treasure.
So the Waiowos was mostly a Hollywood trope because of the intensity, the potential violence, the drama that would happen when the mob boss rips open the mole's shirt. Is there's the wire.
Yeah, the pat down.
Yeah, then they'd break his kneecaps and dump his body in the Hudson, etc.
Luck.
But in reality, it's always been just plain risky, and we now have much better technology, and we do not need to use that anymore. So it's mostly just the verbiage of wearing a wire.
Just means you've been tapped
There's
somehow.
no
Someone's
fucking
listening.
wires anymore. No one's using wires. So this is from the New York Times. Quote, technology has made it so easy to plant a device that is much less detectable, says Richard B. Zabel,
Dickie B. Zabel.
Dickie B. Zabel, Deputy U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. So he deals with that kind of stuff.
Dickie the deputy.
Dickie the deputy for the Center District of New York. Yes, people are conscious of being recorded, but as you've seen, in some cases, they are not able to find the recorder anyway. Nowadays, recording equipment is miniaturized. Your options have increased a lot because the devices are a lot smaller. They can really hide it now in buttons, in pens, in the point of a pen, in a cufflink, or at the edge of a tie clip.
Yeah.
That's so little.
Tiny.
During the
Baby.
During the Cold War era, the surveillance device of choice, I fucking love this, was called the Nagra, a Swiss-made portable tape recorder. The first model was about the size of a shoebox and weighed more than 10 pounds.
Wow. That's basically...
Where would you possibly hide? Like, they'd put it like below
in a car.
No, they had put it on their bodies. They'd put it like below their bellies in front of their crotch.
Because they didn't think they'd get a pat down on the crotch.
And then they would say, like, one of the guys in this interview said that they would like go really overboard on like the homophobic slurs so that whoever was patting them down would not be less likely to touch their groin area.
Wow. Only in a patriarchal society does that work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This was
That
also
is
during the Cold War
ridiculous.
era.
Yeah.
It worked. I don't know. It worked.
10 pounds in essentially a loincloth.
I'm looking at like, you know,
They just taped it to their lower bellies, like under their food
battery backup box thing we all bought for our computers because we kept losing
Yeah,
power.
It's about like that because 10
I'm
pounds is a
picturing that.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
That's
know.
exactly
I mean,
the size and weight.
I don't know what your groin looks like, but I don't think I could
mean-
successfully hide that.
No.
No.
A big, under my wedding dress, I could hide that.
Right. Yeah. If I had a hoop skirt.
Yeah.
Now
Bring
we're
back the hoop
like an
skirt.
empire waist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
So the recorder was battery powered and used reel-to-reel tape.
No. So
Which
it's just
was-
turning inside of you.
Was an important feature because
Under
it
your
moved
hoop
That
skirt.
whirring noise.
because it moved
That's
slowly
just my
and
10-pound rectangular dick.
and could therefore record hours of conversation.
Oh my
I
God.
should hope so. It's a lot to get on and off.
Yeah.
We have a reel-to-reel player at our house because we like collect weird old music shit. They're not
Big.
They're big, but they're not like super loud, but they do make a sound.
I'm sure it was specialized
Probably
reel-to-reel
greased.
shit. Like,
Yeah.
this doesn't mention that the sound was ever an issue. And they wouldn't have fucking used it if it was. But reel-to-reel cracked me up.
That is amazing.
So this recorder could be secreted inside an elastic band or pouch that sat low on a person's waist just above the groin, as I said. Microphone heads attached to a right and a left wire were typically threaded up a person's chest or back and secured near the collarbone with industrial strength tape. This is my
God.
favorite part.
This sounds awful.
So this is according to Robert K. Whitman, a retired senior FBI investigator. Quote, when you pulled them off, all the hair came off your chest. There used to be a lot of recordings that ended with, ah, when you ripped the wires off.
Okay, that reminds me of that thing that you sent me, Lucy.
the mummy.
Are you going to talk about that in a future gag, or can we talk about it here?
We could talk about it here. It's so
What?
funny.
Lucy sent me this thing, and I literally made this next noise out loud, laughing from it.
Wait, let me pull it up. I could do the audio.
No, I'm scared.
Okay, so
so
essentially,
funny.
there was like some ancient mummy that researchers like dug up, and they're studying
Leave it
its like
alone.
vocal cords and
Let me
mouth.
play it. I'll
No.
play it. Okay, ready?
Wait, no, let me.
No.
We gotta explain it. First.
Set it up.
So they used
Well,
a
they-
3D printer.
They explain it in the thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer.
No.
It allowed them to produce a single sound. They were able to mimic
Wait, play it.
I'm trying. Okay, be quiet.
3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
It allowed them to produce a single sound. Play it one more time. Just one more. And then I promise we'll be done.
It's so fucking good.
By recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
Their comedic timing between single sound and the yell. Some intern does stand-up comedy, I swear to God. That is so good.
I don't know if it's real. I'm going to go with it. It's so funny.
So anyway, that was the end of, that's not only Tutankhamun or whatever, it's also the end of all of these FBI recordings.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He
You get a
ends
free
the quote
wax
saying
if you survive.
It was almost like getting a body wax.
Yeah.
They also say that the batteries got really hot.
I bet. You can get burned.
It's not quite enough to burn the skin, but still it's not great, especially if you were already
Uncomfortable.
nervous and you're like,
Yeah. Can you imagine the rashes from the battery heat and then your body sweat?
mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
breaking out.
And then you're
thinking
sweating
about
and
it.
you're hoping that the sweat doesn't
Doesn't
loosen the
slip
tape.
it off.
Well, the tape was
I would.
obviously
You give
super
birth
strong.
to this 10-pound fucking reel to reel.
But then
I
you're
would not have
sweating.
done well.
You look nervous. Like, ugh.
You're standing
You just
weird.
walk like this.
It's not great.
How do you even? I can't.
I don't know. I don't
What are
know.
you smuggling a ham? What the fuck?
So today we don't even always need bugs or special equipment to spy. For example,
Hashtag bug facts.
it's possible to remotely activate a cell phone's microphone even when a call isn't being made in order to listen to a conversation that's happening just near the phone.
That's fucking
Yeah,
terrifying.
Bezos does it all the time to tell me exactly what targeted ads online on
So if
Amazon
they're not
to
actually
send me.
listening to you, they're paying attention of the people who you're physically near. I read about that. They're not literally listening to you.
Well, on Succession, ATN, we're listening.
Mm-hmm.
We, in
I like
fact,
that.
are listening.
We're super listening, you guys.
So that's called a roving bug. Motion sensors can also be used to collect data by simple third-party apps without notifying the user of the phone. Additionally, and I think this is worse and more prevalent, employer spying is super commonplace now. So since the pandemic resulted in many employees working remotely, there was an increase in what's called employee monitoring software, which remotely collects many forms of data from laptops and smartphones issued by employers, including webcam and microphone data, raising concerns that a new era of corporate spying has shifted the power dynamic between workers and businesses.
I knew that they were monitoring like keystrokes and like mouse movement because I know people who allegedly would have to like move their mouse every 15 minutes while working remotely or...
Weren't Amazon delivery drivers doing that too in their trucks? And that's why people like were peeing in bottles and shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
Because
probably
they get like yelled at for taking breaks and not being like ahead of their delivery schedule.
Yeah, but if you're using a laptop or a cell phone that's issued by your company, which is really common, then
Yeah.
they can
every
do
single
whatever the
whatever
fuck
they
they
want
want
on
with it.
there. Yeah.
It's theirs,
They
essentially.
they could literally be spying on what's on your screen at any given time.
Yep.
And all of that is you consent
And you
to it
should
in your employee
always
handbook.
cover your camera with some tape or something because
I'm currently using mine to look at you.
So yeah, also you consent to all of this by signing your employee handbook, or else you don't get the job. It's like
Yeah.
it's just it's just a given now. Some other new advancements include using automobile computer systems. This was deemed illegal in the U.S. because it necessitated overriding and deactivating the car's actual intended security features to use.
Jesus, that sounds safe.
cool.
That's why they don't allow it, but it is possible to do.
Wow.
They also have laser microphones. So this is a laser being shown onto from what I gather, it has to be like a reflective object. So then that laser records the visual vibrations, which are made from sound, and then they can reconstruct audio from those vibrations.
What?
Yeah, they basically take like pictures of sound and then reconstruct the sound.
It's
No.
pictures of like, yeah,
Sound waves.
light and
No.
vibrations.
Probably what they just did
No.
with
No.
I mean,
Bye-bye.
that is probably what they did.
No, they just reconstructed his vocal cords.
Yeah, they printed vocal cords and then passed air through the cord. Like, but yeah, that's all of it's gross.
Okay, so like I said, like 2/3 of all the examples I saw had something to do with the Soviets, and I have a pretty famous example of one of their shenanigans, which I thought was really funny.
Oh God.
Probably detrimental to a lot of like national security, but whatever.
Oh Jesus.
This is from cryptomuseum.com. On August 4th, 1945, the Vladimir Lenin All-Union Pioneer Organization presented a hand-carved replica of the Great Seal of the United States, so that's like the eagle, to U.S. Ambassador Averell Harriman as a gesture.
Levine.
Yes, as a gesture of friendship to their World War II ally.
So they just
Were we
Trojan
allies
horse
in World War II?
the second half.
Oh, okay.
The first half, no. But then they switched.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, this is a Trojan horse situation. So this ambassador hung it in the library at the U.S. Residency Spaso House. So this is the house in Moscow where the ambassador lives.
Oh my God, we're such fucking idiots.
And the library kind of like,
fucking
Oh my God,
idiots.
it's gorgeous.
it doubled as like
What are these
Put it in
wires?
my bedroom.
the conference room.
No.
It's like where they had meetings.
We're so fucking stupid.
We already were using this kind of technology. Why the fuck would we not
It
think
wasn't.
about this?
It was not the technology that we used, and I'll get to it.
Okay. but
Unbeknownst
still.
to the, I'm sure they scanned it or whatever. It appeared to be a solid wood carving with no shit inside.
Shenanigans, but we're just idiots. Okay.
Unbeknownst to the Americans, however, the carving contained an RF radio bug of a novel design, so they invented this specific radio frequency bug. It was actually invented by Soviet inventor Leon Theremin, best known for his invention of the theremin.
No way.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
So that's who invented this specific spy thing.
Petition to change my name to Leon Theremin.
Granted.
Thank you.
So it did not have its own power source, and it was not connected with any wires. So they didn't pick up on it.
Batteries.
No.
Then no.
So it's 1945. So we were just not expecting it. We just didn't see it coming.
How does it not have a power source?
I'm going
and
to
it
explain.
transmits?
I'm
Oh,
about
okay.
to explain. So instead, the device was illuminated by a strong radio signal from the outside, which powered and activated it. So
Wow.
basically, the Soviets would park a
Lot of
van
workers.
outside
Yep.
the embassy,
Okay.
shine a really strong radio signal at the office where the thing was, and
Wow.
that would power it.
That is
crazy.
clever as fuck.
I know. So we weren't that stupid about it. It was just a completely new, really fucking smart way to spy.
This is like the scene in Breaking Bad where they pull up next to the
Magnets.
police station with all the magnets. Yeah, to fuck with the laptop.
Yep.
Wow.
So this gave the bug a virtually unlimited lifespan and provided the Soviets with the best possible intelligence.
Unbelievable.
So that was
Oh
in
my God.
1945. In 1951, the first of two incidents that should have given it away occurred when a British operator who had been monitoring Russian Air Force radio traffic, so they're monitoring,
We're spying on them.
all of this should be Russian signals.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy picked up on the voice of a British air attaché loud and clear So he was
So we
like,
accidentally overheard their secret transmission of our shit.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So he was like, you should sweep the embassy because something's happening. So they
Something's
swept
off.
the embassy, but they couldn't find any hidden microphones because there were no hidden microphones because they didn't know about this technology.
My God.
Then in 1952, an American interceptor overheard a conversation that appeared to come from the ambassador's residency at the Spaso house. I really want to know what this conversation was because this was probably like, honey, pick up some Tide from the Moscow Target on your way home.
It's probably fucking whatever the Russian version of Sandoval is, complaining that Ariana didn't get pens and paper towels.
It was probably just a super private, personal, like, this is coming from someone's home.
How's your wart,
Yeah.
Vladimir?
Yeah.
Did that ointment work?
Oh my God.
So the device appeared to be hidden inside the wooden carving behind the ambassador's desk
No.
and resembled a cylindrical microphone with an antenna rod connected to it. Tiny holes in the wood just under the eagle's beak. So it was like under
Hidden.
the lip.
But also good acoustics.
Guided the sound to the membrane of the bug that was mounted just behind it. So when the Russians knew that an important meeting was going to take place, they illuminated the bug with a strong radio frequency beam from a nearby building or van.
So
A receiver, which was tuned to the bug's resonant frequency, which was like 800 megahertz or whatever, 1800, I mean, was then used to pick up the conversation in the ambassador's library. So this way, the Russians kept the device operational for no less than 7 years and 3 different ambassadors.
That's why you got to do your own interior decorating, people.
Yeah.
Well, they moved it
Never
from the
accept a
library to
gift.
the office at one point.
Well, that was bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We'll step backwards.
That was dumb.
As the operating principle of the device was initially unknown, the Americans nicknamed it the Thing. And here's the best part. The device was codenamed the Deer by the Soviets and Loss by the U.S.
Yeah. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking shit.
Yeah, it was nicknamed "Oh fucking shit" by the U.S.
Fucking
Goddamn
shit.
OFS.
7 years of us trying to evade and doing all this work, and they just heard everything.
Immediately after World War II.
They heard it all.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
There are photos, which will be on the blog, of the Thing if you want to look at it. The Thing. The literal
The thing. Oh, my
It's not even
God.
attractive. It's like a really dark, like
Yeah.
red lacquer. It's not
I don't
cute.
like it. I don't like it.
No.
I mean, it looks like a recording device to me.
This looks like an ugly ass sculpture.
You're not
It's
looking at the
so-
pile of recording devices, are you?
No, I'm not. I just think it's like so egregious.
Open
That-
door slowly.
No.
What?
Miniature holes.
Do you see the red, where it's like really red lacquered?
Yeah, there's a
picture?
little plaque that
Oh,
says
yeah.
open,
Says
door,
open door
slowly.
slowly.
I don't know what that means. That's a recreation of the Thing.
I think that if you look close, that platform that is mounted to is layered. So I think one side lifts up, and then maybe you can like
See
see,
the
a
inside.
reconstruction of the device inside.
yep.
I bet you're right.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Smart.
That's, where is that? Where does that live now?
I'd open that door slowly.
Yeah.
Leon Theremin, you're so smart.
So smart.
I was talking to you, Leon.
Oh, me. I'm so smart.
Okay, but also actual Leon Theremin. Obviously, it worked. It worked for 7 years. They
That's amazing.
accidentally discovered it.
The way that they put together this device to not need a continuous power source or any kind of battery that's brilliant.
And it wasn't on at all until they turned it on
Yep.
very intentionally. I don't know. I thought it was smart.
Fucking clever.
In terms of legality, the act and admissibility of covert listening varies from state to state. The two main scenarios are state with one-party consent statutes and states with all-party consent statutes. Statutes. Also statutes. In 12 states...
Apparently. Eagle statues.
Big, hideous eagle statues.
So ugly. In 12 states, all parties' consent is required for a conversation to be recorded, but in 38 states, audio can be recorded if at least one person is aware of it, which is one-party consent.
Which makes a lot of sense because when you think about people who are like in a domestic abuse situation
Sometimes
or
you need to gather evidence.
Yeah, you need to gather evidence.
And in 38 states, you can.
Yeah, it can fucking blow up in your face, but
Minnesota is a one-party consent state, by the way. Most states do not permit the use of covert audio in public areas, public workplaces, or public stores. But posted signs are enough to inform people that audio and or visual recording is taking place. And
that it shows.
by a person remaining in that area, they are giving their consent to being recorded. So this brings us...
So keep an eye out for stuff like that. Like if Bill has to deal with that when he films at restaurants and stuff. They can just stick a piece of paper on the door that says, by entering this building, you consent to being recorded, essentially.
But also, if you are going to do that, you should look up the laws in your specific state because the specific laws are different.
Right.
So this brings us to the Federal Wiretap Act, which Congress enacted in response to the public outcry about the government's covert recording of the activities of political activist groups in the 1960s. For example, is it COINTELPRO?
COINTELPRO, I think.
COINTELPRO.
Cointreau.
The counterintelligence program used to monitor Martin Luther King Jr., the Southern Christian Leadership Council, the NAACP, the National Lawyers Guild, the Black Panthers, the Weather Underground, and other civil rights and progressive political activist groups. Under the federal
right?
No.
She passes out.
Under the Federal Wiretap Act, it is illegal for any person to secretly record an oral, telephonic, or electronic communication that other parties to the communication reasonably expect to be private. However, as you might expect, there are two huge exceptions to this. One is that one person in the conversation consents to the recording. Or two, the person making the secret recording is authorized by law to do so. So if you have a court order.
You can't just like tap someone's bedroom unless you're the FBI. Or
and you have a court order to do it.
Yeah.
Got it.
There are also different laws that vary by state whether you can record someone without their consent in your own home.
Oh, okay.
It's really, really murky. Like there are so many loopholes to this law. There are specific state statutes about specific scenarios.
Well, the recording someone in your own home without consent is so creepy because, Lucy, remember when we were listening to that season of Something Was Wrong with that guy, Jake Bradgraw, or his Bradbraw, whatever his name is?
Yep.
And he would like record women having sex with him without their knowledge. And I don't remember if that was legal in his state, but like, people will scream home security all the time about having cameras in their house. And like, I have cameras outside of my home. I understand.
I don't get the cameras inside the house.
Inside, though, it just freaks me out.
Even for like pets and stuff, I really don't get it.
It's weird. I don't know. It would make me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't understand the psychology behind wanting that. But I mean, also, if you are the victim of a home invasion, your sense of security changes dramatically. So I can see why a person might want that level of security if they've been burned in that way before, because it's
absolutely
the worst feeling.
My brain just immediately goes to like domestic violence situations and like coercive control situations, and
maybe
how
it's that too.
How fucking easy it is now for abusers to just really control every fucking aspect of their victims' lives.
It's
or
so
a
scary.
person who maybe has a live-in nanny or a nanny who, they just want to keep tabs on what they're doing. I don't know.
I know.
People have their reasons.
There are reasons. It can be used for good and for evil, basically. Like you can use it to like catch people doing bad shit and then bring them to justice. And you can also use it
to really fuck people over.
Yeah.
There is also definitely a line that is crossed when you try to use said recordings in like a court or to like prove something rather than to just have the recordings. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I said, if you have questions about it, look it up in your own state.
On your own goddamn time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Fuck you.
in practice, this means that recording a conversation is legal if the person making the recording is a party to the conversation and therefore consents to the recording. However, after 9/11, new laws were enacted that broadened espionage activities of various U.S. government agencies, which led to the NSA, the Edward Snowden thing, et cetera, et cetera.
That's kind of its own episode.
It changes all the time.
There's a lot to cover here. We can't get to it all.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for
So
more.
I stopped there.
Great.
job.
Wow, you covered a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You did good, mama.
The tearing off of the tape and the tapes ending in a man screaming was my favorite fucking part.
Yep.
So good.
Like Steve Carell in
Yes,
40-Year-Old Virgin. Have I already told this?
Kelly Clarkson. Kelly Clarkson.
That apparently, I think I've already said this, but I learned recently-ish
Oh, it's real.
that they really were waxing him.
Yeah.
And he's a hairy man.
And he's a hairy
The
man.
blood
and
was real.
the actor that they hired to play the like waxer
Was a real waxer.
was asked in her audition if she was a real waxer, and she was like, yep, absolutely, I have experience. Did not. I mean, that's just like standard Hollywood audition. You just say yes, you can do whatever they ask you.
Yes, sir.
That's
And
why
so that's why
so
it
bad.
hurt him like extra because she had no idea what she was doing.
Oh,
And I
no.
don't know if maybe my waxer girl told me this. I can't remember, but I was talking with her about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, when you watch that scene, you can absolutely tell that she does not know what the fuck she's doing."
Well, there's one part when she kind of lets it go halfway up and
Yeah.
it like, oh my God.
Oh, I'm getting sick.
My nipples hurt just because of that. I've never had my boobs waxed.
I know.
No,
Anyway.
thank you. That sounds awful.
Okay, I'm not even gonna ask because I know you guys aren't ready for my case, and
snacks.
it's horrific and senseless, and some very sweet, innocent, promising young woman lost her life for no fucking reason because men suck. Okay,
Way to give away the ending. Just
Yeah.
kidding. They all end that way.
this is a true crime podcast.
I can't wait to get married.
Okay, Zhang Yingying. A lot of articles will say Yingying Zhang, but Zhang is her family name, and Yingying is what we would in the West call her first name, and so that's what I'm mostly going to be calling her. Also, Yingying has a few different meanings in Mandarin, but my favorite meaning was a glimmer of twinkling or flickering light, stars, phosphorescence, candlelight.
Ooh, cute.
Isn't that a cute
Good
name?
vibe.
Yeah. So Yingying was born in Nanping in China's Fujian province. She was bright and driven. She graduated top of her class from Sun Yat-sen University, and her ultimate dream was to become a professor in China one day.
Wow.
Toward that end, in 2016, she received a master's degree from Peking University, which is one of China's most prestigious schools. She was a little smarty pants. Soon thereafter, she traveled to the United States to pursue her PhD. Learning was her true passion, and she was on track for a successful career in academia. In 2017, at the age of 26, Yingying was conducting research on photosynthesis and crop productivity at the University of Illinois College of Agriculture, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences.
Smarty pant.
Yeah.
Yes. She was mainly interested in seeing how climate change affects the yields of certain types of plants and agricultural products. Very beyond me, obviously.
Hard chef.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's no way to know, but she knew.
I understood products.
Agriculture.
Plant.
Plant. Illinois.
The center of everything.
So Yingying loved the University of Illinois and the area in general, but she was also lonely in the U.S. Her fiance, Shaolin Ho, was back in China, and the plan that they made together was for her to study in the U.S. for 1 year and then return to China, and they were going to get married in October of that year. So at the time of this case, it's June 2017, and she was just about to move into her first grown-up apartment and live alone, like outside of the dorms, no roommates.
The
for
dream.
the first time in her life. You know, she's 26. And in fact, on the day of this case, June 9th, Yingying was on her way to an apartment complex where she was going to sign her new lease for that apartment. She had already like picked it out and decided that's where she wanted to be, and she had this appointment with the leasing agent to sign the lease.
Big day.
Big day. Yeah. But she was relying on the public bus system to get there, and her route required her to transfer buses, which fucking sucks. And I used to have to do that going to grad school from the first place that we lived, and there's always a problem.
Oh, it's the worst. I used to do that working in Uptown when I lived in Northeast, and I would like close the bar until like 3 a.m, and then at that point the bus only comes around every like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous as shit.
I know. So I'd just be sitting at the bus stop with like $600 cash in my boot.
The fact that you're still
Oh my
alive is
God.
absolutely insane.
Yeah, you should not
That
be
was
alive.
like before Uber. So, yeah, it was crazy.
That's no good. Don't do that. Listeners, don't do what that
I don't do
that
it anymore.
blue-haired little hoe did.
I mean,
people have to.
Yingying
had
relying
to.
on public transit to get to and from work is sometimes just what you have to do.
I meant at 3 a.m, but yes.
Yeah, but people work shift work.
I know. It's just very
It's not
scary.
that easy to just say
It's
don't do it.
scary.
It is. It's fucking terrifying.
Okay.
I was hammered most of the time, so don't do that.
Okay.
That you could have helped.
Helps with the anxiety, though.
Jesus Christ. Don't do that.
Well, this is the middle of the afternoon. It's 2 p.m. Okay. So she exits the first bus, but she's on the wrong side of the street to catch the second one. And she literally sees it pull up to the stop across the street, but she can't get there in time.
Been there. I fucking know that feeling. It's awful.
Yep. So she tried flagging it down, but it didn't stop.
They don't give a fuck.
No.
Well, mass transit reps would later insist that it's against policy for drivers to stop in those situations because stopping for riders on the opposite side of the street would encourage people to run into traffic and like disrupt the flow of traffic.
That makes sense.
So it's their policy not to stop. Also, maybe the driver didn't see her. Who knows? Whatever. She misses her second bus, which like
missing the transfer is a nightmare.
it's a nightmare. And it's also just like when you hear the rest of this case, it's just like,
Yeah. Wrong place, wrong time.
Yes. Just like a freak thing of fate. It's horrible. So now she's running late, but being a conscientious person, she texts the leasing agent at the complex to let them know that she's about 10 minutes behind schedule for the 2 p.m. appointment, but she's on her way and she knows that she can catch a different bus. So a street camera captures Yingying at this point walking to another bus stop a few blocks away and waiting. A black Saturn Astra passes her at around 2 p.m. The car then circles around the block and stops in front of her.
As a former driver of a Saturn, never trust a Saturn.
We're going to get to the Saturn. The Saturn plays a big part of this, and you're
It always
absolutely
fucking
right.
does. Yeah. My Saturn also like had maroon fibers.
It did.
Double hit.
Blood
Your
soaked
Saturn
maroon
was
fibers.
really sketch.
Was that the one that was covered in stickers?
No.
Okay. Because that was also sketch as fuck.
All your cars have been really sketch until your current car, I think. Like one.
No, I got a Nissan. I got a Nissan before this car that was like actually from a dealership. Okay. So I've had 2 cars that are not a total nightmare.
Sketchiest part about your current car is the mannequin
Driver.
that's in the backseat. Or the ventriloquist doll.
Amanda, there's a mannequin in my backseat?
Actually, that ventriloquist dummy is now in my attic. I found him putting things away the other day, and I
Ew, he's
wasn't
in your
sure where.
attic?
Yeah, and I wasn't sure where he'd gone to.
Where he'd
And
scurried
then I went
off
to put stuff where he scuttled to. I found him. He's all just.
ADHD without telling me. You have it.
There's a mannequin in my backseat. Oh no, it's in my attic.
That's my ventriloquist dummy.
Oh, no,
from
that's
that
my ventriloquist
mannequin
dummy, but
that I had,
that's in
and
my
I
attic.
lost him, and then I found.
Okay, first of all, to be fair though, I got him for work,
He was a write-off.
and it was. I bought it with the company card,
Oh,
and I
Jesus.
used it at our Minneapolis live show.
Yeah.
You used it for 10 minutes, then chucked him on the floor where
'cause
he
it's
lay
really hard
for the
to-
rest of the show.
Just splayed out like.
Should have done a chalk drawing around him.
You should.
We'll have to bring him to the next one. Okay.
I know where he is now, so
Yeah.
assuming he doesn't
And then he
scuttle
can
again.
ride around in your backseat
Till the next
for
full moon.
7 more months. Like a
Every
bag
full
of clothes
moon.
to bring to the Goodwill.
Dude, that's 1,000% what happened to him. He's so stained from just like being on the floor of my car.
Covered in
he's
diced
angry.
tomatoes from our last stop at Taco Bell.
He wasn't in there.
Imagine going
that time.
drunk through the Taco Bell drive-thru and spilling tomatoes and then trying to clean them up, and it's just a fucking ventriloquist dummy staring back at you.
Oh, God.
Okay.
They're in his mouth.
Okay, this is a horrible case. This
I
is
know.
a horrible
I'm
case.
trying
We're
to
trying to
soothe
find
myself.
something funny that is completely unrelated to this. Okay. So he's driving a fucking Saturn. The car circles the block, then stops in front of her, waiting at this second bus stop. Yingying is seen on the footage talking to the driver for about a minute before entering the car. And my theory is that the driver, like, called to her and signaled to her, and she came and spoke to him. This is the last time that Yingying would be seen alive. Now, investigators and members of the public who heard about this, which it's become a fairly famous case. I know a lot of other podcasts have covered it. I haven't listened to any of those episodes because I wanted to have a kind of a fresh take on it. But I know that a lot of people have like questioned why she would have gotten into the car of a stranger. But I feel like, one, that question is a little victim blamey.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it's really important to consider like the precise context here. So one, she's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
It's daylight. She's a student on like a bustling college campus. She's running late and she's not going very far. She's going like 5 minutes away or 10 minutes away, I guess.
Is it possible she knew the driver?
We know now that she did not, but obviously investigators didn't know that at the time. You know, that's a theory that maybe she knew the driver. I also thought it was interesting to get the perspective of some of her fellow international students. So, you know, people were interviewing them and they said, like, as an international student on this college campus, you're in a totally new place and you do become used to relying on strangers for help. Like, you do need to talk to people a lot to like figure out where you're going and what you're doing. And like, people do try to help you usually. It can also be really exhausting trying to navigate the fucking public transit system in a new place, especially when we basically don't have one in the US, or it's just total crap. And she's a woman, and some fellow Chinese students have speculated that she probably would have been afraid of seeming rude for turning down the offer of a ride.
That's what I was going to say. It might have been a cultural thing.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. It's also like, obviously China has a lot of problems, but it's definitely safer in terms of just like, I don't know. They don't have as much like random violent crime like we have, you know, whatever. I don't think it's crazy to think that someone pulled up, he seemed normal, she was running late, and he was like, "Are you heading this way?" And she was like, "Yeah." You know?
Yeah.
Whatever. So this all happens just after 2 p.m. At around 2:40 p.m., so now she's 40 minutes late for this appointment, and she said she was going to be 10 minutes late. The leasing agent at the apartment complex sends her a text asking where she was, probably annoyed, and there's no reply. As the clock ticks on, Yingying starts to get texts from other friends wondering where she is. So they roughly knew what her schedule was going to be that day, and they knew that she had this appointment, but she just had to like sign a piece of paper and then was going to head back. So they expected her back hours ago, and she's not replying to texts, and, you know, something's off. By 9:30 p.m., with still no word from her, one of the friends, an associate professor, calls the police to report her missing. And I do think the police took it seriously right away, which at least there's that. I mean, it's 2017. I feel like if it had happened even a decade prior, they would have been like, she hasn't been gone long enough. She's an adult. She's the right to go missing. Fuck off.
Which is still like their general protocol, but I'm glad that that didn't seem to be the case here.
Yeah. So the next day, many campus student groups start to search for her. And basically the university's Chinese student population coordinated the majority of these searches. They kind of like banded together because she was an international student from China. And the University of Illinois had about 5,600 Chinese students enrolled at the time, which is more than more than any other U.S. college. It was like 1 in 10 students was from China.
That is a lot.
So it's like a powerful student lobbying group, basically. Yeah. So it's a large group, but it's pretty tight knit. They had lots of like cultural events and whatever, and you know, it's a real community. So they really banded together and coordinated a lot of these searches. Also, the University of Illinois is big. It's almost 60,000 students. So they have their own dedicated police department, which is very different from the school that I went to, which had like one part-time campus guy on a
Paul Blart.
Segway. Yeah, exactly.
Literally Paul Blart.
Looking for vandalism. So they
usually like just people giving parking tickets at smaller colleges.
Yeah. They have a real fucking police department, like an actual police department, not just campus police. So they, working alongside with the FBI, also conducted searches both on and off campus. And I don't really know why the FBI got involved so quickly. My only guess is that, like, maybe because she was an international student from China, they wanted to, like, get involved. I'm not really sure, but the FBI got involved really quickly.
Yeah, that's really surprising.
Yeah. For them to get involved when she's still, like, a missing person, I think is...
Within, like, a couple days?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. They initially offer a $10,000 reward for information leading to her location. Then over the next few days, the reward is bumped up to $40,000 and finally to $50,000, which is the largest amount ever offered in, I think, Illinois history.
Do you think her family back home had a lot of money and like connections?
I think that they were upper middle class, but I don't get the sense that they were super well off.
So the connections weren't what?
It doesn't sound like she came from like some big Chinese bigwig family.
Okay.
Like they had the means to like fly to the US and send her to the US and whatever, but I don't think that it
wasn't like an influential.
No, not that I read.
Okay.
So, on June 17th, a little over a week after her disappearance, the Zhang family arrived in the U.S., starting with her father, Zhang Ronggao, and her aunt and her fiancé. And then her mother, Ye Li Feng, and younger brother followed. And during the subsequent trial, which we will obviously get to, her family told the press that they wouldn't leave the U.S. until she was found. Oh, so sad. I don't know. I just found that part like especially heartbreaking. Just like the thought of them like that conversation of like who's going to go first and get the tickets and flying over, and that's a long flight. And
What do you put on your visa application for
yeah,
something
right,
like that?
right.
business or pleasure? Like, oh God,
Neither.
Missing child.
Hell on
Yeah,
earth.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh.
It just made my heart break a little bit. So now your first question might be, okay, cameras saw her get into a black Saturn Astra. It's probably Amanda. Where's the car?
It's definitely
My
a
Saturn
man.
was maroon. Okay.
I know, yeah. You
Maroon.
okay, but where's the car, right? And then I imagine your second question is, who the fuck still drives the Saturn in 2017
That
besides
was my
Amanda?
first question. Yeah.
I was literally driving a Saturn in 2017. Yeah.
You are linked to this case.
I was driving it in Minnesota.
Fess up.
Can you prove it?
It's very close to Illinois.
Yes, I can. prove
Within
it.
driving distance of Illinois. So. All right. Frustratingly, investigators were not able to get a license plate number from the security camera footage. Like they could get the make and model of the car, but not the actual fucking license plate because it
What
was
is the
fucking
point
blurry.
of the cameras if you
I know.
enhance?
Yeah.
Enhance.
Enhance.
Yeah. But turns out the joke about Saturns is very real because there were only like they caught a break. They found out that there were only 18 four-door Saturn Astras registered like in the state.
In the U.S.
They'd stopped making them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. They were
Like, if
very
you're gonna
big
commit
in
crimes-
the 90s and then
Yeah.
they dis-a-fucking-peered.
Do not do it in a Saturn because they stopped making them in like 2005.
Yeah, Saturn or a Saab. So one of these 18 cars was registered to Brent Allen Christensen, and his name
Allen.
is spelled Brendt. Brent.
No.
Brent. Brent.
Ugh.
Yeah,
That's
Brent
fucked it up.
Allen. It is fucked up.
I really hate that.
He was a resident of Champaign, Illinois. Champagne. Christensen was born on June 30th, 1989. It also kind of fucked with my brain a little bit to think about him being younger than us, but that's neither
And
here
a
nor there.
cancer.
He'd gotten married really young, a few months before his 22nd birthday in 2011.
Red flag.
Yeah. His now ex, and we will get to it, wife was Michelle Zortman. And the couple had known each other since high school, but he had dated other people in high school too. And just behold their sad sack wedding photo.
No.
I totally love a City Hall wedding moment,
What the fuck?
but like their wedding.
That.
No. She's wearing what I wore to like fourth period English.
Yeah, she's just wearing like jeans and like a layered top.
I hate a layered long sleeve tee.
Yeah.
No, don't layer your long sleeve tee.
They're just
please.
like chairs and tables shoved to one side of this beige room.
Oh no! The lady
He looks
married
like a
them has
cult
a
leader.
trapper keeper.
Ew, it zips.
It zips.
Mhm.
Ew! It
Oh.
zips.
Look at it.
Our trapper keeper zips.
Ew!
Fucking
It zips.
Boo. But I'm sorry, but ew, it zips. I'm sorry. I would have bullied her in high school.
Yeah. Whatever. I had
For having that trapper
zipping
keeper.
trapper keeper.
I love
I
a
would have
trapper
bullied you
keeper.
if I had seen you with your zipped trapper keeper.
It was what's
I
it called?
love a
5-star. Is that
No,
the
the
brand?
ones-
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that was
ones,
good.
The good ones are the
notebook.
ones that Velcro with the flap.
No, I didn't like that. It was too noisy opening.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
too shy.
that's the
I was
point.
literally too shy for Velcro. It made a racket. It was too loud. I'm not kidding at all.
I know, that's what's so cute about it. No, I couldn't. I didn't
No.
like that. I was too shy for Velcro. No. Absolutely
Drew
not. That's
too
my
much
nightmare.
attention. I'm
No.
red. I'm turning red just thinking
know,
about
you
it.
You really are. I'm watching it happen on
It's
Skype.
okay. Okay.
So upset.
Move on.
You're gonna have a school nightmare tonight where you only have a Velcro trapper keeper?
I do. They were too loud, though.
And
I'm
Mr.
with
Geisler
you.
is like, okay, take out your assignments that are due
Mr.
today. And you're just going to have
Geisler.
a absolute panic attack.
I'm great at public speaking. I love doing our live shows, but the Velcro, absolutely not.
That's where you draw the line.
where
I get it. I get it. I need to have one anchor person in a social situation, and then I can be outgoing. But if I'm just in there solo,
No.
abso-fucking-lutely not.
Bye, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I don't care how rude it is. I'm fucking
I don't like
leaving.
this at all. I'm going to be really hella awkward and sweaty. I don't like it.
Yep.
Okay. Which is why I always keep an emotional support extrovert friend.
Amanda.
Hey.
Yeah.
She's enough for both of us.
And McCore in college.
oh God, yes.
Okay. So sad sack wedding. Okay. In 2013, Brent had graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, red flag, with degrees in math and physics, and moved to Champaign to get his master's in physics. He was actually teaching at the University of Illinois at the time of our case.
Oh.
So he was consistently well reviewed by his students and described as, quote, totally normal by his colleagues. Also red flag. As a local resident employed by the university where Yingying also attended and the owner of a black Saturn Astra, police were keen to interview Christensen. They tracked him down and on June 12th, 3 days after her disappearance, asked what he'd been doing when Zhang Yingying had disappeared. And he replied that he couldn't remember what he was doing 3 days prior, but if he had to guess, he was at home sleeping or playing video games. Sir.
So,
Yeah, I mean, well, duh. Look at his fucking outfit on his wedding day.
yeah, that's true.
He
So
was at home sleeping next to an empty bag of Doritos.
she's 26 and a student. How old is he?
He is born in 89 and it's
can't do the
2017. I don't know.
They're
There's
28.
no way to know. Yeah. I'll take your word for it. So, police weren't convinced by his nonchalant act, and upon reviewing the surveillance footage more closely, enhance, they noticed that the car in the video had a sunroof similar to that of Christensen's car, which not all of the Saturn Astras had.
No, they
So
did
it
not.
narrowed their field of suspects down even further. And then they saw that the car in the video also had a cracked hubcap, the same as Christensen's.
But he was at home sleeping.
So the next day, police obtained a search warrant for Christensen's vehicle, and the FBI questioned him again. In the search, investigators note that the passenger side of his car seemed to have been deeply cleaned, much more so than the rest of the car.
Oh my God.
He literally spot cleaned where she'd been sitting and nowhere else.
Oh my God.
So obviously, this is the takeaway is that if you're going to deep clean to hide evidence, you got to do the whole car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just pointing.
Also, just do it while you're at it. You don't get all that stuff out, start cleaning, only clean 20% of the car.
You also got to reapply some dirt, and so it doesn't just look like you deep cleaned that spot.
Yeah, something.
This is not a man who cleans his car.
No,
Look at him.
clearly.
You don't deep clean a Saturn Astra. You're not a car guy. I don't think a Saturn Astra has ever been deep cleaned.
No.
Except in the commission of a crime. So, finally, during this new round of questioning, Christensen cracks and admits that he gave, quote, an Asian female a ride that day.
Ugh.
He said female. I hate when
Yeah.
hate it.
Makes us
I
sound
just- I
like
hate.
farm animals.
Agricultural products.
Ew.
But he claimed that during that ride, he'd taken a wrong turn. She started to panic. And so he dropped her off just a few blocks from the bus stop where he picked her up. And then he doesn't know what happened to her after that.
Of course. How convenient.
Here I should note that Brent and his wife, Michelle, of 6 years, were in an open relationship. Like they were married. It sounds like their marriage was like pretty unhappy, but also they were like
Doing their thing.
bonded together, and then they were whatever. The openness of their marriage was actually Michelle's idea, but Brent had come around to it.
But they were living separately.
They were living together.
But like kind of living separate lives under one roof.
They had other romantic partners that they knew about.
Okay.
And we will
Sure.
we'll get to it. So he had a girlfriend in addition to his wife Michelle at this time, a woman named Tara Bullis. A little bit more on her in a moment.
Terrible.
Terrible. Wow, that is a name.
That's, I didn't even
rough.
think about that, but you're right. Terrible.
Terrible.
Wow. Shit. Well, we have a lot to thank Tara for, actually, but
Okay,
yes.
well, still.
Okay, so on the day of Yingying's disappearance, wife Michelle was out of town visiting her boyfriend in Wisconsin Dells, which I thought was
Oh, look at it.
Ew.
It zips.
Look at it.
It zips.
Ew, it zips. Oh,
Ew.
God.
Oh, it zips.
Oh,
In the
Jesus
Dells.
Christ. Oh.
I'm getting you a zipper trapper keeper from
No.
Brandon, Wisconsin Dells.
I'm
I will
hunting it down.
throw it out.
That's
your
gonna
way
be your
up.
wedding gift.
On your way up for the wedding, swing through the Dells.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, just a quick swing through the Dells in mid-August. That'll
No.
go great.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll get a
So-
staph infection.
1,000%
You
I
just
would.
slow down on the freeway, you'll get some sort of infection.
Ugh.
So while Brent is in custody and being questioned, investigators go to his wife and ask for permission to search their apartment because the warrant that they had was only for his car.
Yep.
And she's like, yes, search everything. And
Yeah.
I'm
Go
about
ahead.
80% sure that he did it and he's a psychopath. Obviously,
my
I'm
God.
paraphrasing. But
Wow.
But that was
Are
like
you sure?
the gist of what she said.
she was like, yes, you should definitely search our apartment. And I think he's a psychopath.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
My God.
Okay. Loving long sleeve tea wife.
Yeah.
Well, it's complicated, but yes.
Well,
So they find significant evidence of foul play in his apartment. More on this in a moment. There are pictures on the drive.
Oh, God. There always are.
But police decide to release Christensen, but place him under round-the-clock surveillance in the hopes that he inadvertently would lead them to Yingying or her remains, because she's still missing at this point. They don't know if he's, like, got her.
Is this his room with that bed?
Yep.
It looked... the thumbnail of it, before I opened it, I thought it was an ice cream sandwich.
it looks
Yeah.
like what?
It looks exactly like an ice cream sandwich. This is such a
Ew.
man's room. It's
It's like
disgusting.
barely a bed frame on the floor.
Barely a bed frame on the floor.
There's no
like,
mattress cover. That is
no
just
mattress
a mattress.
cover. The sheet is like halfway over the mattress. It's just like so
Piles of laundry in the floor, just the lid of a plastic bin leaning
like I
against the wall.
definitely
A baseball
like had,
bat.
Yeah, like I had sex here in like 2006.
Yeah.
Probably
Once.
for sure. One time.
Yeah. And then there's like
You
bondage
didn't dare use the bathroom.
ropes
No.
and a baseball bat in one corner and like a
No.
really gross looking towel.
Ugh, the gross towel is
Oh,
really
it's
bad.
yellow.
Mhm.
It's yellowed.
I can smell.
No,
That
you
room.
can, and no, I can't.
Can't
I
go
won't.
there. I won't.
I'm gonna vomit. I just ate some really yummy cheese, and I do not want to puke it up because of this.
So yeah, that's his bedroom.
Ugh.
So again, they don't know. She's still missing. They haven't found her. They don't know if he's got her hidden somewhere alive. They don't want to just arrest him and then he, lawyers up and doesn't give them anything and she
Starves to death in a dungeon.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my
so
god.
they release him and they put him under round-the-clock surveillance. And now investigators turn to the other woman in this disgusting man's life, his girlfriend, Terribleus, to see if she will be as cooperative as his wife.
Terrible.
So Believing her boyfriend to be innocent, sweet baby naive Tara agrees to secretly wear a wire around him, thinking that the recording would exonerate him.
That's not how it's going to go, I bet.
Not how it works.
Was it a
Thank you for playing.
hot shoebox that weighed 10 pounds?
Yeah. So she's
God.
strapped on with medical grade tape.
No. Smuggled that ham.
10-pound burning metal box
No.
with whirring wheels.
Reel-to-reel tape.
No.
I think it was smaller than that. I don't have the details, unfortunately. On June 29th, like an absolute fucking creep, Christensen attends a memorial walk for Yingying with his girlfriend Tara.
Ew. And where's his wife at that event? We don't know.
Doing her thing.
Yeah, she's back in town now, but she probably doesn't want to be around him. I don't know.
Fair enough.
She knows he's under investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's true. She already was like, please look into him. He's disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, unbeknownst to him, Tara is wearing a wire. And to her dismay, because she thinks that she's going to help him, this is going to exonerate him. So she's like, yeah, I'll wear a wire and I'll bring up the case and see what he says. So to prove to you that he's innocent. She records Brent not only admitting to murdering Yingying by luring her into the car and then taking her back to his apartment against her will,
Oh, my God.
but he even brags on tape about being a serial killer
Oh, for God's sakes. What a fucking loser.
Ew.
and claims
That's disgusting.
that Yingying was actually his 13th victim.
What?
So investigators have not found any corroborating evidence that he had 13 other victims, and they believe that this claim was just like his attempts at aggrandizing himself and trying to emulate his idol, Ted fucking Bundy.
No.
Was that actually his idol?
Yeah.
He said that.
He
no.
said, I did not have time for all the quotes, but there are like multiple quotes of him being like, the only other person who's even come close to me is Ted Bundy, and Ted Bundy this,
oh my
and Ted Bundy
God.
that.
Ew.
What a fucking loser.
First of all, Ted Bundy killed more than 13 people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But also, that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Hence why the wife was like, yeah, he's obsessed with serial killers, and I think he's probably a psychopath. Here's the keys to our apartment.
Here you go. Please. Take my wife, please.
Can I go back to the Dells now?
Yeah, I
My
just
life
want
is
to
so
finish
sad
out.
that my happy place is the Dells.
Oh,
My life is so
Jesus.
sad. Can I please go back to the Dells?
I am so depressed. I have to go to the Dells. The Dells.
So Christensen is arrested and charged with kidnapping. And he's actually charged federally with this crime under the Interstate Commerce Clause, which is not the norm. And I don't think he crossed state lines. But I think they were able to be like, we can't prove he didn't cross state lines because they just wanted the FBI to nail him. I'm not really sure. It's a little unclear.
Or maybe it's because the FBI was already involved that it is then a federal.
But they can only get involved if they found a way to make it federal. I'm not super clear on how.
Chicago's pretty close to Wisconsin.
So maybe, yeah. I mean, that's how they did it with the Ginny Piper case, is that they were like, we think that the route that the kidnappers took was like right out of state lines and then back, even though the direct route would have been only in Minnesota. But I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. So investigators still had not managed to locate Yingying or her remains, so they held off on charging him with murder. But they have that in their back pocket, obviously. Still, evidence showed that Christensen choked, raped, and stabbed Yingying in his fucking foul bedroom.
Oh, in that?
He then dragged her into his bathroom where he beat her with the baseball bat and then
my God.
decapitated her.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
That's insane.
How do they know this if they haven't found her body? That's just their theory.
They found, like, they ripped up the carpet and, like, under the, the floorboards had been, like, soaked with blood. Like, there was a lot of blood loss. and there was blood on the bat and on the mattress and in the bathroom. And I don't know specifically how they knew about the decapitation part, but
I don't think we need to know.
so also it was all fucking premeditated. I mean, not like her specifically as a person as the victim, but like her type. He was looking
Asian
for
female.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh.
So in April, before the kidnapping, Christensen used his cell phone to access a sexual fetish website called FetLife and visited different forums, including one called Abduction 101.
No.
Why does that exist?
On the wiretapped recording, he'd talked about, quote, the characteristics of an ideal victim and had chillingly pointed out to his girlfriend at the memorial for Yingying
Ew.
people in the crowd that he thought matched those characteristics. Like, see, like she's small, she'd be easy to carry. Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, that is so fucking
And
twisted.
this whole time the girlfriend was like, yeah, I'll wear a wire because he didn't do it,
Yeah.
even after he's saying shit like that at the memorial.
Well, that was when she was wiretapping him, was at the memorial.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if
She
he's
must
saying
have-
that at the memorial,
She must
that's
have
not the-
had, I don't know.
Yeah, but also being
had
at
to
the
have said
memorial would get him all
something.
juiced up.
Right.
Ew, his jollies.
Yeah, he
Ugh.
could have just like, kind of gone into like a little bit of like a trance and was like running his mouth and couldn't stop.
I hate him.
Yeah. Oh no, he's disgusting.
Vile.
We also know that Yingying's kidnapping wasn't his first attempt. He'd previously attempted to abduct a graduate student named Emily Hogan, trying to get her into his car by posing as an undercover police officer and offering her a ride.
Cool.
But she'd
In a
refused.
Saturn?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like how undercover?
Yeah, good luck.
There's undercover and then there's
And then there's
A
LOL,
Saturn.
no. Yeah, and then there's a guy in a Saturn.
Yeah.
But Emily had refused and reported him to police and posted about it on social media. Go, Emily.
Good for her, yeah.
Not that Ying did anything wrong, but
No.
like the fact that Emily took the extra time to just try to prevent this psychopath from doing it to other people.
I'm a cop. Get in.
Yeah.
Get in. I'm a-
It's
I'm a
cool.
cop.
I can give you a ride. I'm an undercover cop. Okay, sure, dude.
No.
Have fun. Cool sunroof.
It's
Cool
a Saturn.
dent.
It doesn't. That sunroof has not worked for years.
Cool
I'm telling
dented
you right now.
Brent.
Yeah, cool dented hubcap. So it only took 2 hours of deliberations for the jury to find him guilty on the kidnapping charge. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Bye-bye.
After trial, as part of an immunity agreement to avoid the death penalty on any subsequent murder charge, Christensen finally admitted to dismembering Zhang's body and placing her remains in 3 separate garbage bags, which he threw out in different dumpsters around the city. And these were all sent to like a private landfill. And by this point, when he finally admitted to this, it
She
was
was gone.
after the first trial was over. So they would have been compacted multiple times, buried under at least 30 feet of other garbage.
Oh my God.
It would have been
Her poor family. They can't
impossible
even
or
lay
near
it.
impossible to get those remains back.
They can't even lay her to rest.
Yeah. So was he always a fucking creep, or did something in him snap, or like what fucking why?
I mean, he drove a Saturn, and he did previously do the undercover cop.
He lived in
thing.
Wisconsin.
Lived in Wisconsin. That bitch from Wisconsin.
So Brent's father claims that his son had previously gone to the University of Illinois Medical Center months beforehand, and while at that visit, which was for mental health reasons, admitted to having homicidal thoughts. And we know that he did make that visit. However, the hospital at the time deemed that he wasn't an immediate risk to the public. And
There's only so much they can do, really.
yeah, they can't, I don't think they are empowered to like commit you. You know, like so what they did was like, okay, let's make a follow-up mental health appointment. And they did. And then he didn't show up for that. And then the wife, Michelle, has also stated that their relationship was suffering due to Brent's, quote, fascination with serial killers, which I don't know how far back that spanned.
Yeah.
And his addictions to Vicodin and alcohol.
Well, if his fascination with serial killers was causing rifts in their marriage, I would imagine if it existed before, it certainly ramped up later on to become a problem. Probably in tandem with his growing substance use disorder.
Yep. And like exploring abduction fantasies online, and eventually he acted, basically. And still, although they are now divorced, Michelle, like, she knew she didn't have any doubt that he was guilty. Like, she thought he was guilty from the moment the police went to her. But, and now they're divorced. But she supported him throughout his trial.
Woof.
And when asked why, she said, quote, "He is the biggest person in my life for more than a decade. It's difficult to cut ties like that."
I guess. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it.
Fuck no.
Well,
I not for a violent crime like this. No.
No.
I'd stick by Bill for a lot, but no.
I hope that she has since found the support to leave him in the fucking rear view, because that's...
I don't know.
He left her. He's in jail.
Yeah, she did change her last name back to her married name, or back to her maiden name. And I don't know. It's just,
Wow.
I just feel so much for Yingying's family, and
Seriously.
she was just trying to, just missed the bus.
She was trying to get her own apartment. It was a big day.
The only consolation here for the family really is that, like, he barely even tried to cover any of this up.
Well, he was caught
he's-
within a month.
Yeah, he was caught super fast. He sang like a fucking canary on that wire, and then just, didn't try to drag this out longer than it had to.
Well,
and,
he refused to disclose what really happened to her, admit his guilt until after
True.
he was already found guilty, and then he just did it to save his own ass to not get the death penalty.
No, that's totally true.
Now, he fucking sucks.
He fucking sucks. The only not even silver lining, the only consolation is that there wasn't like a long, drawn out
Is the fact that they
time of
caught
not
him
knowing.
quickly. That's like the
They caught him
only
and-
consolation.
Yeah.
That they caught him at all, too. Because imagine your daughter disappears and just into thin air, and you never fucking know what happened
Which
to her.
has happened to a lot of families.
Yeah, that would
It's
be
horrific.
the worst.
Worst.
That'd be the worst. I can't think of anything. That'd be the worst.
Yep. So yeah,
Wow.
that's this case. Thanks, fan picker.
Mm.
Well, yikes.
All right, are you guys ready for my case?
Kind of, if my nose will stop itching.
Well, you focus on that, and I'll take it from here, Mama.
Okay.
So, lots of folks have worn wires throughout history to take down the baddies. So, discovering that this mostly hated, polarizing Bravo baddie
Oh my
Also
god, if it is
wore-
fucking Sandoval, I
It's not.
swear to God.
It's
Okay.
not.
There
He
are no
could
wires
never.
involved
Yeah,
yet.
he's too sweaty to even maintain the adhesive.
The tape wouldn't stick.
Yeah. Also wore a wire in a fraud case, and I gasped and immediately knew this would be my case today. So in this case, though, the baddie kind of took down herself a little bit.
Oops.
And a lot of this litigation is still ongoing, so who even the fuck knows what's going to happen. But like in this particular thing that she wore a wire for, we have a resolution for the most part. So first, a little background, because there is such a flurry of chatter around the multitude of allegations against Tom Girardi and Erika Jayne.
Yes.
This is
Can
just,
do you
Bravo
know?
people I actually know.
Oh,
this is just
From
one
my
of many.
2 seasons of Real Housewives that I've watched.
Yo.
I love
This is
Erika
just
Jayne.
one of the many things going on with them, and this is not like the main case. I'll probably tell that story another day, but that's like very much still in active litigation.
Litigation.
So I don't really have a lot to report there.
Okay.
But this is from a hot minute ago. So from the LA Times. In the fall of 2016, 2 influential men in Los Angeles faced money troubles. The head of the LA office of the U.S. Secret Service, Lorenzo Robert Savage III, thought he was being shortchanged in a lawsuit over a defective braking system in his family's Volkswagen minivan. Always get a
Okay.
Dodge Grand Caravan or a Honda.
I didn't know Volkswagen made minivans.
They do. And Tom
Like Foxy, I
Girardi,
think.
Tom Girardi, then at the height of his power, was borrowing heavily to fund his law firm and increasingly upset about the size of his wife's American Express bill.
Yeah.
To address
Glam.
the Glam Squad. Well, this has so much to do with glam, you guys. This is directly tied to Erika's glam.
To glam. Oh my God.
To address their respective problems, Savage and Girardi and their spouses turned to each other. Girardi agreed to represent Savage and his wife for free in a bid to extract a larger cash settlement in the minivan case. And when his efforts failed, Girardi dug into his own pocket to pay the Savage family about $7,500
Weird.
For the minivan shit?
for the minivan shit.
Weird. Okay.
So, not in the financial win they thought they would be, Erika Jayne then approaches Girardi and his Fed bro Savage, claiming a fraudulent overcharge for costumes, custom costumes, on her American Express card to the tune of almost $1 million.
Custom costumes.
Yep.
for her pop star career.
Correct.
Yeah.
This was like pre-Housewives, so it was 100% for her Erika Jayne persona that she was having these.
Housewives?
Mhm.
Wow.
This litigation started was like right before Housewives, I guess, before she was on Housewives. This was an opportunity for Girardi to get a big refund at the same time that he was starting to swim in debt. And Savage owed him a favor for representing him for free and shelling out his own cash to cover his loss for the minivan thing. So they went balls deep on this investigation.
To American Express saying that this $1 million charge is fraudulent. I want to be reimbursed.
And she was, to be clear, American Express did like reimburse pony up for some of the charges, and they weren't even really going after American Express because American Express had already done their part, and now they're going after the designer.
Oh, okay.
What was the fraud? Who committed fraud?
We will get to it. It's all in the story.
Tell us everything first.
I'm trying to.
I don't want to hear the information in order. I want it all first.
It didn't seem like it was in order. That's why I was
then
confused.
The story, but all the information first, and nothing should be before one another. I want it all at the same time simultaneously. Simulcast the information into my brain. Thank you.
So their bestie Lorenzo, the Secret Service guy, starts digging into costume shop owner and designer Christopher Sela. Quote, at the time, Sela and his business partner, designer Marco Morante, were creating a name for themselves in the fashion industry, making couture pieces for stars like Britney Spears, Mariah Carey, Cardi B, and contestants on RuPaul's Drag Race.
You can picture the kind of costumes that they were making.
I bet they were fucking amazing.
Lots of sparkle.
Yeah. Christopher had started designing pieces for Erika in 2014. So their relationship and like the issues with some of the charges started before she was on Housewives. But he was continuing to design for her after she joined Housewives and had a much bigger platform. And I think this is when she like really went hard on the, oh, he owes me money or he overcharged me part of it. Okay. So the two operated on kind of like a friendly, I scratch your back, I'll post on Instagram, you scratch mine kind of handshake agreement on payments and invoicing. And he,
Tough
they were
when you're talking about $1 million.
yeah, but that number is also shady as hell.
Okay.
So this is like the beginning, still growth of his business. He's trying to get his business off the ground, and she is being tapped for Housewives. So he's like, this works for me. This is my stuff is going to be in front of like millions of people. She absolutely took advantage of the fact that he was eager to get his designs out there. Even before she was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but she was doing shows in front of large audiences, and she's married to this very powerful man. So, like...
Who's a fucking lawyer. She can do whatever she wants.
Exactly. Quote, Sayla said she accounted for roughly between 20 and 30% of his business. And he does
Holy
shit for
fucking
like...
shit.
He's doing shit for Cardi B and like...
She spent so much money.
So, my God, you guys, I don't know if we'll ever know exactly how much. It's so much.
Just even watching Real Housewives, you're just like, what? When they went to, were they in Hong Kong?
So, yeah.
She brought a team of like 8
In a
with
private
her
jet.
In a private jet. Had like 6 different looks per day.
Yep, to do her makeup
Hair
and dress her all day.
Multiple times a day. Oh my God.
It's
An
nuts.
addiction.
And that was just
absolutely.
like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. However, the lack of a full and detailed paper trail at the time blew up in his face when the Secret Service got involved because of Lorenzo. So this is a quote from LA Mag. According to a federal indictment, Jayne told the agents that she had given the company access to her American Express credit card. So, like, they weren't even invoicing her. She was like, here's my card number.
Yeah.
Make
charge
whatever and just charge it. For custom costumes that she wore during her singing appearances. She did not keep or review invoices, she said. The design duo, quote, knowingly and with the intent to defraud, caused charges to be made on victim E.G., Erika Girardi's Amex credit card without victim E.G.'s authorization. So that's what she's claiming.
I feel like your authorization is giving them your credit card.
I mean,
just
pretty
being
much.
like,
Yeah,
But-
but,
but
they're,
also if they
buying,
can't-
like she's alleging that they like bought materials that weren't for her
Weren't used for
costumes or
her. And if
whatever.
they can't back up all of the things they invoiced her or charged her for, then yeah, they are stealing from her.
keep
Right.
your receipts, people.
Yeah, exactly. So Erika goes crying to Tom and Lorenzo, saying she was way overcharged and cheated out of a bunch of money. And Lorenzo is like, I got you, fam. Let me get my team involved. Thank you for helping me with that minivan situation.
Thanks for that $7,500. And
Yeah,
she's like,
saved my
"What?
life. She's like,
What? I've never heard of such a small amount of money.
pittance?
Was that for eyelashes?
What?
7,500?
Oh,
Yeah.
Part of that involvement
Cute.
was wiring up Erika Jayne and sending her to the shop to confront Christopher about the overcharges.
Oh my God.
The recorded conversation, which I couldn't find a transcript of, did catch Christopher admitting to an overcharge. And I'm unsure the amount he may have fessed up to in that conversation, but it certainly was not the amount that she was claiming. This was enough evidence for the Secret Service to conduct a raid on his business, though. So during this raid, he presented invoices that he had given to Erika Jayne, and these invoices did indeed indicate about $100,000 discrepancy or overcharge that at the time he believed to be an accounting mistake, and the accountant in question was later absolved of any wrongdoing. But Erika insisted that the amount was far greater. Quote, there's $1 million, well, 800, 900,000, well, whatever, of my husband Tom Girardi's money that is gone, she alleged.
And he confronted the burglar.
Yeah, and his car rolled back
She
times.
literally confronted the burglar.
She confronted the burglar. The investigation culminated in a 9-count indictment of aggravated identity theft, wire fraud, and use of an unauthorized access device against Sayla.
Oh, I guess California is an all parties consent state.
Maybe.
Is it? Oh.
Let me look it up.
No, I don't think it is, because she was wearing a wire and he
I
No,
actually
I know, but
think it
you
is
can-
an all parties consent state.
Yeah.
must be. But since it was the
Recorded him
government,
illegally.
she didn't record him illegally. She was wired up by the Secret Service.
If you have a court order,
Yeah, so she
it
was
might
legally
be
allowed
different.
to wear a
California
wire.
is an all party consent state.
Yeah, just because Lorenzo works for the Secret Service doesn't mean that he whatever. We don't know.
We do know. This case was legitimate.
Oh,
they
okay.
had enough evidence to open it. And because
Okay.
he works for the Secret Service, it was just his team that was working
it.
on this case. And this was
in
all,
the van.
yeah, this was all done through legitimate government means.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's not like where her fuck up was at all.
Okay.
So this designer is now looking at several years of time in federal prison.
Oh my God.
And once again from LA Mag, Sayla denied the charges to authorities, but by the time he went before a judge, the damage was done. His brother, Jonathan Sayla, and his husband, David Lewis, so not his brother's husband, but
his own
husband. Each put up $50,000 to bail him out of federal detention because he was held on a $100,000 bail. He was remanded to the state of California, except for a brief vacation that he had planned to Maine that August.
I missed a half day of skiing.
It's a half day of skiing. Selah had to surrender his passport and submit to drug testing. This just reminds me, like, I feel bad for him because he was definitely fucking used and played in this situation, and we'll get to it. But that little detail, I was like, oh my God, all these fucking privileged as fuck people. And I know I'm privileged too, but like, this is beyond.
But I have a vacation plan.
I have a vacation.
We
It
go to
reminds
Maine
me-
every year.
Do either of you
For
watch?
the lobster.
Do either of you watch Teen Mom?
Yes.
Okay, you know when Janelle like was first had to go to prison and she was like, okay, but I can't go because I have tickets to Kesha. It's like more than just a concert. Like it's Kesha. Like she's my
her
idol.
lawyer was like,
I can't tell a judge that you want to delay your prison time because you have to go to Kesha. Like I'm not telling him that.
she was like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm not going. I
bought an
Kesha tickets.
outfit for it. It's iconic and it's all over TikTok. I'll send it to you. It's
so
fucking amazing. So I had this trip planned to Maine, but they let you go on it, dude. So it's fine. So this case absolutely drags at this point, and poor Christopher's brother even dies while he awaits trial.
He never got his 50 grand back.
Well, we kind of get to that. Oh. And the prosecution continues to gather evidence. Quote, the government sought multiple continuances in the case as they struggled to gather evidence, which prosecutors were forced to admit was lacking. Meanwhile, Erika begins filming for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and her more recent seasons, the news drops of Girardi's many fraud and theft accusations. In an episode that aired May 26th, 2021, the gals were playing a game of two truths and a lie. When it came to Erika's turn, she included the statement, quote, I wore a wire and was witness in a government case.
I remember that.
This is what she was talking about.
Oh, so it wasn't against Tom.
No, it was against her former
custom
costume designer.
Yes.
Later saying in that same episode that I shared too much. And that was not a lie. She did share too much.
I loved it. I ate it up.
It was amazing. And it bit her in the ass because after the episode aired, fans and litigators alike were very curious about the comment, and they all took to Twitter, like you always do. Everyone assumed that she was referencing the over $101 million in debts that Girardi owed and is being taken to task for. But folks were shook to discover that this was not a related case or like directly related. I have theories on this, and we'll get to those too. Attorney Ronald Richards, who is working on the Girardi case for the prosecution, had inside connections to this case, this costumer case, and spilled some piping hot tea. This is from Reality Blurb, LOL. My sources will always be the best sources of all time. From September 30th, 2021, quote, after being alerted to past footage of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Ronald revealed on Twitter that the case involving Erika wearing a wire was dismissed this week, so the week of September 30th, 2021, before sharing details about the case on a podcast. He also confirmed this federal case was unrelated to the separate ongoing legal scandal involving Erika's estranged husband, Thomas Girardi. He said, quote, this is unrelated to any legal matter that we are counsel for. This is the clip that triggered our review of this matter. So like he got word that she said this on the air.
Yeah.
And was like, what the fuck? We're already looking into this guy. Do we also need to look into her shit?
Right.
So they're digging around and they find this and they're like, oh, this is not related.
to this
And also it just got tossed out this week. So I guess whatever. So, If this was true, we had some concerns, he said. We will now share. Ronald told his online audience on September 30th, along with a clip from the season 11 scene of the show. After the statement was shared, Ronald, who was hired to investigate Erika's finances as part of the Tom Girardi bankruptcy, because
I'd say so
much money was being funneled into her business, appeared on the Up and Adam podcast where he explained details of the case, saying it involved about $700,000 and was ultimately dismissed. She wore a wire, he said. She cooperated in the case where she contended that she was a victim of some sort of credit card offense. According to Robert, someone faced legal charges, and that's the designer, Selah, and could have spent years behind bars due to statements Erika made in the credit card fraud case. However, he felt that the whole thing was mixed up because the credit card in question belonged to Tom's law firm and wasn't even Erika's personal card.
Oh my
shit.
God.
Yup.
Oh, shit.
Yup.
I think that would be something they'd check.
Yup. Which is
Holy
probably part of
shit.
why they dismissed the case.
Yeah.
But what's wild and honestly super satisfying is that the case was ultimately dismissed not because of a lack of evidence. They could have kept going on what little bit they had.
It was way juicier evidence in a bigger case.
Well,
Bigger fish to fry.
not even that though. There was very little to support the size of the overcharge that she was claiming. But because Erika Jayne was such an unreliable witness and an absolute legal liability, they
And
dropped
on a reality show.
They dropped everything. Yes. And there's all these articles that are with all these legal experts being like, why the fuck is she filming and talking about this case? She shouldn't be talking about any of her legal matters publicly at all.
Right.
I don't know what
Zip
lawyer she has.
Ew, zip
Yeah,
it.
ew, it zips. Ew, it won't zip.
She won't zip.
So Robert says she didn't falsely
She's just
accuse.
too real, you guys. She's just too authentically
She's so
Erika
authentic.
Jayne.
Yeah, she can't change herself.
To a fucking fault.
To a fault.
Criminal fault.
She didn't falsely accuse anybody, Ronald clarified. There were all sorts of issues, whether her assistant authorized the charges or whatever. It's just that she had a relationship with the merchant. The government made their own decision, but it would go down to her credibility. I believe the reason why the charges were dismissed is because she would not be a credible witness and there would be a lot of impeachment material to go after. I think she's probably relieved that she doesn't have to be subject to cross-examination.
Yeah, imagine if okay. Isn't there something called discovery where you can basically access other information about a person, private, subpoena other documents that are unrelated to one case if you have them in a different case? You know what I'm saying?
That's not what discovery is, and it depends. The judge might accept it or not.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this was Tom's company Amex is probably included in the mountain of debts, that he owes, but now it's not, it has nothing to do with this designer. Whether this designer overcharged her or not is neither here nor there now because the whole case is just moot.
But what
And
I'm
if there
saying
were-
is imagine that this case against the designer had gone forward and then they had subpoenaed her text messages or whatever. And then it was, evidence of these other crimes was found there kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a process for all kinds of shit like that. But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't fucking know. So as for Sela, he got the news that his case was abruptly being dismissed without prejudice on September 28th, 2021. The $50,000 that his husband had put up for bail was returned, and the strict conditions of his release were, lifted. So he could get his passport back and he didn't have to be
Maine
drug
whenever
tested.
he wanted. You didn't have to ask.
Yep, exactly. I'm personally hoping that the $50K that his now deceased brother put in was returned to his brother's family, but I couldn't find anything about that. So, and I mean, I could see the government being like, well, he's dead. We don't have to do anything about that. Sorry.
Right.
We're going to keep that money.
Well,
So-
if his bail was set at $100,000, they only needed to actually pay $10,000 in total. But you need to promise 50.
And he didn't violate any conditions of his bail. So hopefully, that was returned.
Well, yeah, either way, they just split it and put up
Yeah.
the money. And different states, I think, also have different rules about that. You could put down 10%, but then that's through a bonds.
That's
like
what
a
That's
bond.
what bond is.
Yeah,
It's
so then it's a
10%.
loan essentially with a bunch of interest and
Right.
all kinds of shit. So a lot of people just don't want to fucking go there.
Correct. But if you follow through with the terms of your bail, you get
Right.
that money back.
Right. So basically, all of this shit is a nice way of saying that while, yes, there were issues with billing by the costumer, Erika, likely encouraged by a desperate Tom Girardi, jumped on this opportunity to take legal action and recoup some funds that he was drowning in debts. And now that we know that it was actually his company card
Right.
and not even her card at all, of course he's going to want to
Right.
call his buddy in the Secret Service.
But it ended up shooting himself in the foot. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And granted, $800,000 would have been a mere drop in the pond of what Girardi owes. And like, as to why Erika felt the need to discuss this unrelated ongoing case from years prior is anybody's guess. But my theory is that she wanted to legitimize herself as a victim ahead of the bigger news that would be dropping during her season. And this was like, I think she made that comment before the dismissal without prejudice of this specific fraud case.
Yeah.
So I think she was laying the foundation to be like, someone stole from me, blah, blah, blah. I'm a victim.
Or at the time that she said that, she didn't know or wasn't smart enough to put together how it could paint her in a bad light in the first place.
It's also just conspicuous consumption to be able to say, like, I didn't notice that someone billed me an extra $1 million for all my custom costumes. Why do I need custom costumes? For my pop career. Have you heard my hit single, blah, blah, blah? You know, like,
it's
that
expensive
I funded
to be
100% myself. They are
I
bangers, though.
Can't help but rock out when I hear that song. Anyway, Erika bit back at Ronald Richards, calling him a, quote, clown-ass lawyer for taking to Twitter and podcasted the Bravosphere with his analysis of her behavior and her lack of credibility. His response was flawless. He said, quote, "It is unfortunate that there is no client control, which has resulted in more profane and tone-deaf posts, which now are apparently directed at myself and my hardworking team. We cannot help but point out the irony that she previously complained about comments made about her. However, now in a
She did it first.
Yeah.
Everyone is the same.
Seriously.
None of you are better than the other.
No. However, now in a transparent attempt to deflect scrutiny from the source of her mass amounts of capital she is spending, she has now resorted to weaponizing her vast platform to hurl low blow insults and mean tweets." It's such a good response. And he took the opportunity to remind his audience and hers, who were closely watching, that she, quote, is liable for the money that was advanced by the firm on her behalf. Meaning it's irrelevant if she didn't know that $25 million funneled into her business were embezzled funds. It's still her business, and she will still be held responsible for returning those funds.
Yeah, she still spent that money.
Yep. So like I said earlier, I'll probably do the full story on the Girardi Keese law firm allegations.
I thought you were saying the Girardi case, but
Girardi
in a really weird
Girardi Keese.
I'll probably do the Girardi case another time. But
the Girardi Keese case. But
I thought you were too.
No, it's his law firm is Girardi Keese.
maybe on a
Keese. But there's just so much to unpack there. We do not even have time to begin to go there today. So I just focused on Erika Jayne weren't aware.
This guy cheated me while I was embezzling money from plane crash victims.
Yeah, from orphans.
So who's the real victim here?
Right? And I won't give back those earrings. Quit asking me.
Those were my earrings. I've had them for years.
Anyway,
Well
that's
done.
my case.
God, what a fucking episode.
I know. It's nutso.
Well, thank you to our fan picker, Kayla. This was awesome.
The
I'm
best.
glad we got to cover it.
Yeah,
And
Kind of am.
we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.